my Cadian movement phase for turn 4, and I have a feeling the pendulum is starting to swing back Cadian way. We'll see. I just hope these rolls continue. My Khazarkin here is still effective with the Rogel Dorn, and the Sentinel are now coming right down the road. Really want to wipe out these Aberrants and get them off the table. My Khazarkin are also up here, currently combat ineffective, but they can still do some damage before, I hope they survive the battle, but before they possibly get killed. Civilians have moved up as well. The Reductus Saboteur is still there, so I'm hoping that those civilians are going to be able to take her out. Over on this side, we have the command squad have gone right back into hand-to-hand with that lone neophyte hybrid. If they can take him out, that's going to be an experience point for them, because that'll be a squad they've killed. The last full section of Cadian are moving up the street as well, and they're going to be putting all their firepower on the Primus, and also if he gets killed, that'll be an experience point for them. The Rogel Dorn has come out, and it is aiming right down at that Achilles Ridge Runner, so that's going to be happening next turn. A lot of crossfire here going on. And then we have the Ogryn that's staring down the Clamavus, and my Hellhound, if it can roll well, is capable of taking out those Aberrants. So if I can roll well, splash Melta Cannon, Melta all over them, that'd be fantastic. The Commissar-led section is here, and they are just underneath and out of range of the heavy weapons. The Hellhound is still kind of sacrificing itself. It's driven right back in. The heavy weapons can definitely shoot it, as can the Goliath truck, but it's going to blast some Melta Cannon spray all over those Genestealers. It is combat ineffective anyways, and from that, at least it's going to try to take out some models before it's done. My Gun Servitor is still up on the roof too. I can move him next turn with the civilians. I moved my civilians this turn too, most of them at least, so the squad has kind of pieced out. He's like, alright, I killed one guy with my butter knife, and now I'm going back towards the wall. You know what I'll do actually? I'm going to move this guy too. Might as well, and he's going to try to pick some wounds off that Goliath truck. So I'm going to be rolling the shoot phase now for the Cadian, and I'll come back and see the aftermath of that, hoping a lot of these models will be gone from the Genestealer Cultists, and that we'll get some experience points for some units killed. So I'll be right back. Okay, so starting over here, my Cadian shooting phase is done. The Rogel Dorn with the double or twin battle cannons opened up with everything it had into the Aberrants and wiped them out. The Abominant is still there. My Sentinel did finally fire around, but it didn't do anything past that towards the Aberrants as well. My Khazarkin here, there's actually been a lot of experience from this round too. So my Khazarkin killed the Reductus Saboteur, so that is a point for them. The Rogel Dorn here is also going to get a point. These Khazarkin here might be my all-stars for this game too. I think they have 3 or 4 3-unit kills this game, so they've been phenomenal holding it down. Over here, my Khazarkin opened up on the Metamorphs and finished them off. The Genestealers were also thinned out by my Hellhound, who put a melt-around into there and really dwindled them. Over here, which is actually phenomenal, my Gun Servitor with the multi-melta shot into the Goliath truck and peeled a whole bunch of wounds off of it, so that was fantastic. Over here was also great. So the Achilles Ridge Runner that was here is gone. It was weakened, and then it was finished off actually by this Cadian section here. So it had 1 wound left, and I believe it was the Melta that finished it off. The Hellhound was the thing that took care of the Aberrants that were there, so it's starting to finally kind of go. I'm getting some rolls in my favor. Could have been better, but I'll take what I can get. My Ogryn over there was not able to do any damage to the Clamavus. He only had 1 shot. I think it missed or didn't wound. Just trying to recap everything. We still have some hand-to-hand, so my command squad versus the Neophyte Hybrid here. But it's finally starting to look like I'm thinning out these numbers, and I might be able to get 4 combat effective units into the centerpiece. So right now what we have in here is the Ogryn. We have the Hellhound, and that is about it, because this Khazarkin squad, even though while the Primary Psyker is her own unit, she's attached to them, so I would say that that's 3 units, but that Khazarkin squad would not count, so that would be 4 actually right now if they were at combat effective strength. But there seems to be a pretty straight way in here to take care of this Abominant next turn. Hopefully it's kind of out of range for any kind of hand-to-hand, so that's good. The Genestealer still, there's going to be another group of 10 of them coming in with the Patriarch at the end of this turn for the Genestealers. So that's going to be not good, especially if it's a hit for them. But it's starting to turn a little bit. I was feeling really scared for my Cadian there for a bit. But they seem to be turning it around, and they're starting to finally get some rolls. I'm going to go over to the rolling tray right now for this one, and I think I'm actually going to show that on camera so you guys can hopefully see this Cadian command squad thwomp this Neophyte Hybrid and just take care of that. So I'm going to do that on camera, and then I'll be back to show the aftermath of the hand-to-hand. And then we're going to move over to the Genestealer movement turn and see what they're going to do against these Cadian that are still kicking. Alrighty. Alright, so coming back over from my dice tray, the aftermath of that skirmish, the command squad got an experience point. They finished off that Neophyte Hybrid unit, and it was the Lieutenant/Captain, who's my current commander on the field, that finished that one off with her power weapon, power sword. Over to the Genestealer Cultists turn now, and moving into their turn 4, and then after this turn, it's going to be when the remaining Pure Strain Genestealers come out. So this whole side of the field is actually free now, except for the Primus, but I'm hoping with this firepower here, they'll be able to take him out. These guys are rolling down the street now, and we're going to try to finally collapse into that position around the Navigator and get him the hell out of here before things get more dicey. So on to the Genestealer Cultist move phase. Let's go, Cadian. A lot less Genestealer Cultist models to move, but that is the end of their move phase for turn 4. The Neophyte Hybrids left the lone civilian, my squat gunsmith, and they have pointed all of their weapons on the Hellhound to try to take it out because it is still in the fight, as we saw from the last turn, taking out some Genestealers. These guys jumped off the roof. The Benefactus is also turned to face that force that's coming down the road, as did the Goliath truck. My last gun servitor with the multi-melta that actually did great last turn in wounding that Goliath truck has been completely swarmed by the Genestealers. So they have an 8-inch move. They literally jump from one roof to another. The heavy weapon squad here too is currently aiming at the Hellhound as well. So I don't know if it's going to make it through this turn. I really hope it does because it's been trying its best. The command squad of the Militia Genestealer Cultists are still up here, aiming down at the Hellhound here. The Clamavus has got into a little bit of cover from the Ogren, but the rest of that Cadian unit is coming down towards it. On this side here, with the Aberrants all dead, the Abominant has moved. He was out of range, luckily, of any hand-to-hand, but he's getting super close to my Khazarkin, as same as my civilians. So next turn, if they don't take care of this guy, he's going to probably decimate that Khazarkin squad. But we'll see what happens. And then these metamorphs have actually come out as well. There's a heavy stubber there. I know that was a Neophyte Hybrid squad, so there's a heavy stubber there too that's also going to be putting some rounds onto the Khazarkin. So we'll see what Cadian survive after this turn. I'm going to do all of the shoot rolls now off camera. I'll come back and show you guys the aftermath, and hopefully I roll really well for my Cadian and there aren't too many taken out. But it's good. There's still, I'm hoping, enough units to make it through, so we'll see what happens. Just about halfway through the shoot phase there for the Genestealer Cult. I just wanted to start the camera up again because this Hellhound just survived, 4 different attacks from different units. So the Benefactus tried to get it. It did a hazardous attack with the Benefactus. It saved, which was fantastic. This hybrid unit with 2 mining lasers, which are actually pretty high strength, they were also stopped. This one here with the Scion cannon or seismic cannon tried to shoot it, also didn't do anything. And then the heavy weapon militia unit up here fired everything it had as well down at the Hellhound. And this thing still has 4 wounds left, so it's still in the fight. Just wanted to start that up. I'm going to finish off the rest of the shooting phase. The Metamorphs versus my Khazarkin, and I think that might be it. Oh, and the Militia Command Squad versus my Hellhound, and the Clamavus down here versus the Ogren. And then I'll show you guys the aftermath of that, but I just wanted to show you that this Hellhound is still fighting, and yeah, 4 different units took shots at it, and it survived every single one. So awesome. I wish I would have rolled it on my dice tray, but I didn't. So anyways, back to the shoot phase, and I will show you guys the outcome of that in just a sec. Okay, Genestealer Cult shoot phase for turn 4 is done. They were able to take out one of the Kazarkin. I actually removed the Sergeant because his weapons aren't great for this, and they're already combat ineffective, so I've got the Primary Psyker leading them, but that was the Heavy Stubber that fired in. It had its Sustain 3 as well, so it really did a lot of shots and killed the Sergeant in there. Over here, I decided to actually use the Primus with his needle pistol or needle gun, hoping that it would get the anti-infantry bonus, but I did not roll high enough for it to shoot, so he rolled a 1, he needed a 2+, so that's another great outcome for my shock troops. Over here, the militia command squad opened up on the Hellhound, this one, and none of them fired. The Melta did, but it didn't wound, and the other las guns didn't do much, so my Hellhound in here is still looking good. The Clamavis also tried to shoot at the Ogren, and the Ogren was able to save that as well. So now I'm going to move to the hand-to-hand combat. We have a couple fights going on, well actually just the one I think, which is my Gun Servitor versus the Genestealers, so we're going to see what comes from that. And then at the end of this turn, right now with the hand-to-hand, it's going to be the next batch of Pure Strain Genestealers and the Genestealer Patriarch coming onto the table based on the scatter dice and the 2d6. So I'm going to be right back. I'll roll this fight right here, and I'll come back and show you guys the outcome. I think you probably already know what's going to happen, but I'll still get it on camera. All right. All right, so we are in Genestealer hand-to-hand combat for turn 4. Just to show you guys again, these are the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Genestealers. Each have 4 attacks. They hit on a 2+, minus AP, and this is against the Gun Servitor, so let's see what rolls out of this. So I'm removing any 1s in here. There were a few. So these are all hits. And the toughness of my Gun Servitor is 3 to a strength 4 of the Genestealers. So these are going to be wounding on a 3+, which is also devastating towards lightly armored units. So I'm removing any 1s and 2s. That's it there. So that's how many attacks went through. The Servitor usually has a save of 5+. This makes it a minus AP of 2, which would be a 7+, so that's all the wounds that were delivered from those Genestealer Colt Claws and Talons. So that Gun Servitor is dead like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 times. So they shredded him. I'm going to go back, show you guys on the other camera what's going on, and then we're going to be rolling for the Pure Strain Genestealers coming out and where they're going to end up on the field. So that is the end of turn 4. The Genestealers have gone through all of their phases. I just wanted to do a quick recap as to where we stand for both the Allies and the Genestealers. There are no henchmen left around the Navigator Psyker, and both the Gun Servitors are dead, killed by that group of Pure Strain Genestealers. There's going to be another 10 of those models coming out somewhere in this vicinity in the next roll. I'm going to go over to my dice tray in a second and do that for you. On this side, the Cadian are looking pretty good. They've taken out every single enemy that's on the back end of the battle, and they are moving in to try to help and strengthen the Navigator with his personal shield. In there currently is 1 unit with the Hellhound, 2 units with the Ogren, and 3 units with the Primaris Psyker. That Kazarkin squad is no longer effective, but they're still in the fight, and they have not received a battle scar, which is great. There's still several Genestealer Cultists on this side with the Benefactus. The Magus is also over here. And then those Genestealers, that Hellhound I showed you guys is still hanging in. It's got 4 wounds. Again, it's combat ineffective, but it has not received a battle scar yet, and I hope it makes it through the fight. And then I have this Commissar-led section of Cadian, which is still also combat effective. So after those Genestealers come out on the board, it is going to be going back to the Cadian for their move. If they show up right in front of, one of the 2 Nurgle Dorns, hopefully they can just get blasted to hell, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to roll right now on my dice rolling camera for the Pure Strain Genestealers to see where they're coming and how far away they are from the Navigator. So it still could go any way. I've really chipped away a lot of the Genestealer Cultists though over the last turn. Very good rolls by my Cadian, super happy. Not great rolls from the Genestealers, so that's what I needed. And I'm very excited to see, because this battle now could go either way, when it was looking just, you know, a turn or two ago that the Cadian were going to get absolutely decimated. So pretty good so far, and I'm going to roll on my dice tray. I'll be right back.
All right, so this is end of turn 4. This is the scatter dice for the Genestealer, Pure Strain Genestealers that will be coming onto the field. Here we go. It's good. It's not a hit, so that's awesome, because I'd have to play super hard for the Genestealers. So it looks like it's coming from the left direction of my Navigator right now, and we're going to see how many inches. I'm really hoping it's going to be as far away as possible, so another couple 6s would be great. We'll see what rolls right now. Okay, not too bad. So it's 7 inches, so it's going to be 7 inches in that direction. I'm going to place them on the field right now over there, cut back, show you guys where they are, and then it's going to move to the Cadian beginning of turn 5. So yeah, we'll get to that right now.
Alright, so here we are. The Pure Strain Genestealers have been placed based off of the scatter dice and the 2d6. So they ended up 7 inches just to the side here of the Navigator. It's actually, I don't want to say it's the worst scenario. It's not the best scenario because it's Pure Strain Genestealers, but at least they're all in the same area. If they were start popping out in different locations, it'd be tough to manage. But right now, they're all in one spot, and I have a Hellhound here that can hopefully keep picking away, as well as this one here. So I might be able to get them going. If the Genestealers jump on the Hellhounds, however, that might be a problem. But we're going to see what happens. So these Genestealers are like popping out of grates and sewers and coming around from, like, I don't know, ditches and stuff. So they've been in the city the whole time, and they're starting to come out now to really help in taking out this Navigator Psyker. And you can see that the Patriarch's there. That is a badass model. Very, very strong, very, very good in hand-to-hand, and I think it could actually give some of the tanks a bit of a run for their money. So I'm going to move over to the Cadian turn now. This is the beginning of turn 5. I currently have 1, 2, 3 combat effective units out of 4. I need at least one more in here, and there's still 2 full turns left, so turn 5 and turn 6. So I need to really haul ass, get these Cadian in here, get these numbers thinned out, and then at the end of turn 5, so the next turn, beginning of turn 6, there's going to be that remaining Genestealer group that's coming out, the final 10, and that's going to decide what's going to happen in this battle. So we'll move over to the Cadian movement for turn 5, and here we go. Could go either way still. Alright, Cadian move phase done for turn 5, second last turn. The Commissar-led section is now up on the overpass right behind those heavy weapon groups, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to take them right out. The Hellhound that was face to face with all these Genestealers backpedaled out. Still got these ones in range though, so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to splash some Melta-Cannon all over them. Down here, my Rogaldorn moved up the street, as did my Sentinel, and they have the Goliath truck in their view. And then the Rogaldorn, I'm hoping after, is going to be able to either put some fire on the Patriarch that's over here, or if this Goliath truck is still going, do that. There's also the Benefactus, so lots of options. The Khazarkin unit at the back are not really able to shoot. Maybe they could fire through the tree at the, see right around there, the Abominant. So I'll have to check the line of sight for that. The remaining 3 civilians moved into the little bunker here with the Primaris Psyker and those 2 remaining Khazarkin that are going to start chipping away at the Abominant as well. The Cadian command squad, led by my commander now, Lieutenant / Captain, she has led a section and herself right up to the Primus. The Primus has kind of got his back up against the wall, so that might not be a good thing. And he has survived a lot of shots in the past, so I'm hoping that they can finally take him out. Over here, the Ogren went right into hand-to-hand combat with the Clamavus, so they are fighting each other. The Hellhound here turned itself around, and it's also going to fire some Melta Blast onto those Genestealers. And my Rogaldorn has also pulled in and is got the Patriarch in its sights or those Genestealers. So currently I have 1, 2, 3, 4, And then I would also say my Sentinel 5 are in the zone and they are all combat effective. So that means that right now, if the battle were to end, I would have won. But there's still some fighting to happen. There's still that last group of Genestealers coming out at the beginning of turn 6. So we're going to see what happens there, and that'll be at the start of the Genestealer turn. They're going to come in a random direction, and I'm just hoping that I've placed my guys strategically enough to handle any and all directions where they could come. I'm going to move to the Cadian shoot phase now, and I'm going to come back after that, roll off camera, and show you what has happened to the Genestealer Cultists after some shooting from a lot of tanks. Very excited. I'm hoping that my Cadian can really start to dwindle the numbers and pull this battle back into their favor. This is going to be the big turn to decide that, so hold on and I'll be right back. Okay, so pretty good phase by my Cadian in their shooting. The Abominant was killed, but he has an ability where he regenerates, so he's back with 5 full wounds, very close to the Khazarkan civilians and Primaris Psyker. Once again, my Sentinel did not do anything. Probably one of the worst models on the board since the start of my games. The Goliath truck is down to 1 wound after my Nurgle Dorn put everything it had into it. My Khazarkan could not shoot because they didn't have line of sight. I checked that out. The Primus has been wiped out by the Cadian, I think it's 2 section, which is Sergeant Dakota's section. So that is a experience point for them, and then now they can move down the road and try to get right in to help out with the Navigator in extracting. The section led by the Commissar lit up the heavy weapons crews and killed 2 of them. There's still 1 that remains. The Hellhound here was able to reduce a lot of that Genestealer number down, so the Melta Cannon did great, as did the Heavy Flamer on Hellhound Cerberus. And then my other Hellhound went into the other Genestealer group and dwindled them as well. So there's only 7 Pure Strain Genestealers remaining. I actually still have to shoot with the Heavy Bolters on my Valkyrie. I keep forgetting that because they could maybe try to hit that Abominant and kill him. Or the Brood Brothers back here. So I'm going to do that right now, and then there's one hand-to-hand combat fight going on. It's the Ogryn who jumped into combat with the Clamavis. I'm hoping that that's going to be a win for the Ogryn, but they've had pretty bad luck this game too. It's their first battle, and they've been very close to being finished off. So I'm going to go roll for the Valkyrie right now and do the hand-to-hand, then I'll come back and let you know how that went. Okay, so last bit of shooting there in the hand-to-hand combat with the Ogryn. The Valkyrie Heavy Bolter Door Gunners opened up on the Abominant, actually rolled really well, and it is down to 3 wounds from its resurrected 5. So this thing has 10 wounds in total if you roll that 2+, and I've stripped 2 more off of it, so it is down to 3 wounds, but still super close to the Khazarkan and Primaris Psyker. Over on this side, which is what I was hoping would happen, the Ogryn with his Ripper Gun swamped the head of the Clamavis multiple times and finished him off. So that ends the Cadian 5th turn. It's moving over to the Genestealer's movement. And currently we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 units that are combat effective that are within the zone around the Navigator Psyker. So I'm going to move over to the Genestealers, do their movement, and then I'll come back and show you guys how that went. Move phase done for Genestealer turn 5. The Militia Command Squad has gone into hand-to-hand combat with the section. It's being led by the Commissar. Luckily, they still have that fixed bayonets order, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to repel that. My Hellhound is still here, and all of the remaining Brood Brothers that are over here, the Neophyte Hybrids, are going to put all of their firepower into this thing. The Genestealers that are on the roof here jump down and are in hand-to-hand combat with the Hellhound tank. The Benefactus is still up on the overpass, and it has the Nurgle Dorn in its sights. Going to see if that's in range for a couple of massive psychic attacks. It's got a really good one, so the Nurgle Dorn might actually get wounded here. We're going to have to see. The remaining Genestealer unit here has come out from the cover, and they are approaching the Sentinel and the Khazarkan, and then the Abominant. This is the closest model, and it came right into hand-to-hand combat with the back of the Sentinel, so that's going to be a hand-to-hand combat phase. There wasn't too many Genestealer Cultist models to move around. The Cadian have done a very good job in dwindling their numbers. There's still the last Genestealer 10 creature squad coming in at the beginning of turn 6, but I'm going to go roll off camera now for the Genestealer Cultist shooting, and then we'll move into hand-to-hand after that. But shooting first, then I'll be right back. Okay, Genestealer shoot phase is done. My Benefactus, I got a little nervous there. It has the Psionic Witchfire or something. It's a very strong 12 strength attack. It actually hit, but the Nurgle Dorn was able to save. So if it hadn't, that could have been a lot of wounds peeled off. The Goliath truck was not able to take any wounds off the Nurgle Dorn either. Over here, all of the Neophyte hybrids shot their weapons at the Hellhound. That Hellhound is still going with the 4 wounds. It is really, it's not combat effective, but it's been holding its own for quite a while. Also, the Genestealer, like militia, heavy weapons squad also shot down at it, and it didn't hit it, so that was great. I'm going to be moving on now to my hand-to-hand. So there's the Genestealer Pure Strain Genestealers in there. There's also the Abominant. And these 2 remaining Neophyte hybrids tried to shoot as well at my Khazarkin and Primaris Psyker squad, and nothing happened there either. So, very lucky turn. Genestealer models, again, there's not as many as there were. So I'm going to be going hand to hand now. I'm hoping these Genestealers don't strip too many wounds off the Hellhound, or maybe none. Fingers crossed. And that Abominant definitely has the capability of destroying that Sentinel. So we're going to see how that goes, and hopefully the Sentinel will still be there as a unit that is combat effective, because right now it's still at its full 7 wounds. So I'm going to roll off camera for the hand-to-hand combat, and I will be back to show you the aftermath. Alright, so that's the end hand-to-hand for the Genestealer Cultists. The section that was with the Commissar was really beat up. The Militia Genestealer squad lost 2. That's Cadian command squad, so I used those stats. Like, these guys were trained. I don't know how you couldn't tell that they weren't Genestealers, but on this planet they were a command squad that was trained up to be like the militia for the planet. They might have even fought some Xenos forces, might have killed other Tyranider Genestealers to kind of pretend that they were, normal. But they've emerged as Genestealer Cultists, and it was a regular Cadian shock troop squad versus a command squad. So the command squad's got some pretty good weapons, a little bit better ballistic skill, stuff like that. So it definitely showed. This squad is no longer combat effective, but they are still alive. And the Commissar is a sole unit if they are killed. So he can still get in as one of the 4 units to win the battle. But I just wanted to cover that. There's my Hellhound still going. Over here, this Abominant is probably one of the best models for the Genestealer Cultists. Absolutely incredible. It died once. It came back to life with full wounds. It had a few wounds stripped off of it. It went right into hand-to-hand combat against the Sentinel, and that power sledgehammer is insane. So it just crumpled the hull of the Sentinel and killed the driver inside. So that was removed. It had 7 wounds, the Sentinel, and it is gone. It is obliterated. On this side here, the Genestealers and the Hellhound kind of bounced off of each other, so it did get 1 strip in on the Hellhound. The Hellhound is now down to 7 wounds, still combat effective for now. And then the Genestealers were kind of bumped off of it because it drove over them a bit with the tracks, but they were able to avoid it. So now I'm going to move into the 6th turn. This is the final turn of the game. I need to get 4 units into the center area around the Navigator to be able to get him extracted. And also those 6 Genestealers, or the 6th turn Genestealer Pure Strain, are coming in. So I'm going to roll for that in my dice tray. And we're going to see where the scatter dice shows that they're coming in and how many inches away they are. If this is a hit, it's not going to be good. They're going to be right in the middle. So I'm hoping it's going to be further enough away with the inches, and then kind of a random direction, or maybe close to over here would be fantastic. So we'll see if the dice are on my side and if my Cadian can pull this off. But they literally have to just get through this last turn, and we'll see if this Navigator Psyker can get extracted. So here we go. I'm going to go over to my dice tray, roll for my Pure Strain Genestealers, and see where they are coming in.
Okay, here we go. This is the beginning of turn 6, and more Pure Strain Genestealers are coming in, 10 to be exact. I'm hoping I have enough guys left, and they're close enough to be able to move in. So here we go. So they're coming in actually very close to where that Hellhound is that just had the wound stripped off of it by the other Genestealers, and we're going to see how many inches they're going to be away from the Navigator. I'm hoping like way out, so they're underneath that overpass, but we'll see. Okay, so 7 inches, not the best, not the worst, right about the middle. So I'm going to be placing them 7 inches out. I'm going to go back over to my other camera, show you guys what that looks like, and we are going to take it from there. It's going to go back over to the Cadian for their shoot, but I'm going to place those Pure Strain Genestealers, and we'll see how this battle ends.
Okay, so the last 10 Pure Strain Genestealers are on the table. 7 inches is actually kind of right on top of the Hellhounds, so they're coming out from like sewers and grates and stuff, so you couldn't really have that. The tank's too heavy, so I popped them out just about half an inch behind the tank. So they're not in hand-to-hand combat, but they are very, very close. The Ogryn is there as well. I might sacrifice that Ogryn to be able to hold off those Genestealers for this turn. We're going to have to see what happens. Or try to turn that tank around and blast this and just hope that I have enough wounds left on the Hellhound that it'll be combat effective, because the Genestealers still have their 6th turn. So I'm going to move over to my Cadian. It's the Cadian move turn, and then I will start the camera back up and show you where they ended. Holy crap, this has come right down to the wire. My Khazarkin are too far out. They are a combat effective squad, but they didn't have the ability to have the move command because the Castellan was killed. So they moved the regular 6 inches. They're not close enough to be inside that vicinity. They are going to try to take out that Abominant though. My Rogaldorn here with 12 wounds was able to move into the area, so that is 1 unit. My other Rogaldorn is still over here, that's 2 units. My Primaris Psyker is just on the border, that's 3 units. Over here, I did do the move command because my command squad is still alive and she was able to issue that order. So they're just inside. They literally like half an inch in, maybe less. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 units inside. That's enough to win the game, but here's my 5th, and there's Genestealers all around it. So that's kind of like my buffer, and it's not much of one, because if that thing loses 2 wounds, it's no longer combat effective, so it will go back down to the 4. So this is going to be extremely tight at the end. My Ogryn has moved into hand-to-hand combat to hold off these Genestealers for a little bit longer. We're going to see how that goes. My Hellhound moved in here. This thing is not combat effective, but it's still moving and still hopefully going to be able to dwindle some numbers that are, going to be risking the lives of the rest of the units. So I'm going to get into the shooting phase now for my Cadian. Really, really hoping for some good rolls to keep these numbers going. And from there, actually I didn't move my squat, but he's still alive. So he's going to come out 6 inches. I'm going to have him end up here. Maybe try to do a pot shot at those Genestealers with his gun. Yeah, we need to get this done because we saw, like, if the Rogaldorn gets into combat with the Abominant, it can probably strip some wounds off of it. The Patriarch is there too. There's the Genestealers. There's still the Goliath truck here with the 1 wound left. It still has the 1 wound. So I'm going to have to be super strategic in regards to how I handle my shooting and what everybody's shooting at to try to help everybody out. Yeah, it's going to be crazy because then after this it goes back to the Genestealers to finish off the game. So if the Genestealers are able to dwindle a few wounds off of my already wounded models, it might knock them out of combat effectiveness and make them combat non-effective, which would mean that the Genestealers would take this one and the Cadians would lose. So here we go. Wish them luck. I need super rolls here more now than ever. So I'm going to roll off camera. I'll come back and let you know how it went. All right, the battle's starting to wind down. The Cadian shoot phase in turn 6 is over. The Commissar-led section was able to finish off that command squad. The autocannon, however, is still there, and I don't know if they're going to make it through the shoot phase, but we will see. My Ogryn's still in hand-to-hand combat. That's still to be determined. My Hellhound here was able to wipe out a lot of the Genestealers in this area, as was this one. They kind of pinned them in and just melted them. The Rogaldorn fired every single weapon it had at the Patriarch, and it was the Meltaguns at the very end that did it. So the Oppressor Cannon didn't do it, the Coaxial Autocannon didn't do it, the Gatling Cannon didn't do it, the Stubbers didn't, the Heavy Bolters, it was the Meltaguns on the front. So the Patriarch was killed by the Rogaldorn. That's another experience point for that. That's great. My Rogaldorn's amazing pickup there during my last game. I knew I needed more firepower, more penetration. It worked. Same thing happened here. The twin cannon, Rogaldorn was able to finally finish off that Abominant. I thought it was going to survive again, but it was the multi-meltas on this thing from the side sponsons that finished it off. My Khazarkin tried to shoot and they actually didn't, no, sorry, they did destroy the Goliath truck, so that was a point for them as well. They got a point. And my lone civilian from this side of the table, the squat gunsmith, was able to finish off that one kind of wounded Genestealer. So it had one wound, he blasted it with the shotgun and killed it. My Khazarkin do not really have a line of sight towards that, so they're not going to be able to do anything. They weren't able to shoot. And over here, these guys, it would be great if they'd be able to shoot, but since the Ogren's in combat, they're not allowed to get into that. So it's going over to the Genestealers right after the hand-to-hand combat phase with the Ogren. The Genestealers are going to have their move, they're going to have their shoot, and then we're going to see if there's at least 4 combat effective units left from my Cadian team in here to be able to keep repelling the enemies and to force them out so the Navigator can get picked up by the Arvis Lighter. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go roll this insane hand-to-hand combat roll here. I don't think my Ogren has much of a chance, but there's miracles and maybe the dice will roll in his favor. We'll see, but that's like, it's a full 10 and they each have, what was it, 4 or 6 attacks, something like that. So I'm going to roll. We'll see how it goes and I'll let you know as soon as I come back. A valiant effort by the Ogren. He's got a toughness 6 against the Genestealer strength 4, but there was just too many of them. So all of their attacks pretty much went through except for maybe 5 or 6. There were 40 attacks coming at him, which is insane. He was able to save 2, but the remaining amount, even with his feel no pain 6+, he went down, and there was enough to probably kill the whole squad of Ogren plus. So that was the end of that one. It's going to be moving over to my Genestealer movement now. Battle's almost done. The Cadian's last turn was there. I played offensively, a little bit defensively there too. I'm just hoping I'm going to have 4 full units here. From my Genestealer Cultist side, I'm going to have to be strategic here because the Genestealers can only do hand-to-hand. They're probably going to be taking on this Hellhound. If I lock other Genestealer Cultists into hand-to-hand against tanks, that means that things like the Benefactus and other ranged weapons can't shoot. So I might actually just move them close and then have the Benefactus try to pick some wounds off of the further Rogel Dorn with the twin cannons. And then the Genestealers are going to probably pounce all over this last Hellhound with the 7 wounds. That's going to be a lot of attacks. The Hellhound has a very high toughness compared to the Genestealer Claws, but there's enough of them that it might actually shred the tank apart. So we will see. And then after that, I'm going to have to count, see how many units are still combat effective, and if this game goes Cadian or if it goes Genestealer Cultist. It has been absolutely phenomenal. It's really cool having been able to play kind of Astra Militarum versus Astra Militarum with the Genestealer militia models. Super weird though, rolling for like, you know, Cadian Command Squad against Cadian Command Squad or Shock Troop versus Shock Troops. That's been really interesting but fun. Yeah, I'm going to get on to it now. So we're going to do the movement phase. I'll come right back, show you how that all lands, what the Genestealer Cultists decide to do. The Patriarch is gone, so I'm guessing probably the Benefactus might be in command now, or the Magus. And they're going to be feeding them some, you know, telekinetic sort of waves and that to tell them what to do. So here we go. Last turn coming up for the Genestealer Cultists, and we're going to see if this game will go Cadian or Genestealer. All right, I'll be right back. Genestealer cult phase is done. I'm going to recap what happened. So the pure strain Genestealers are, you can barely see the Hellhound. They're all over it right now. So they came in from behind and that last Genestealer on the front. So I'm going to see if that thing can actually pull off a defense against those things. It still had a few wounds left, but that's one of my units to make it combat effective. So I'm hoping that it does not get destroyed. The final heavy weapons crew, the Genestealer militia, is still up on the bridge. It's going to start blasting away at this Cadian shock troop squad. I hope it doesn't kill everybody because that'll be a battle scar. I already had a lot of those this battle. The Neophyte hybrids have put their guns on the other Hellhound that has been fighting since the start. It has 4 wounds left. It's had 4 wounds for several turns. My Benefactus has a straight path for its psychic attack right onto the Rogel Dorn. The Genestealers moved in against that final little civilian from the group that was over here, so the squat gunsmith. There are still 3 civilian models here that are going to make it through. They're in the area, but they don't count as being an effective unit because they're not Cadian. My Khazarkin are in the same spot. And the Heavy Stubber as well as the Icon Ward are going to try to take a few wounds off the Rogel Dorn. It's possible it could happen, probably not likely because of the toughness on the Dorn, but if I roll really poorly for my saves or something, the Stubborn might take a few wounds off. I don't think it's got enough attacks to make this thing combat ineffective, but we'll see what happens. The big thing right here is going to be this Hellhound. If it goes down to under the threshold for combat ineffectiveness, and then if this Benefactus can get a blast off at this Rogel Dorn and take some wounds off it as well, it's not going to be a good day. So I'm going to roll for the shoots now. I'll probably do that Benefactus roll because that's going to be super dramatic, and then I will get over to the hand-to-hand combat. And at the end of the hand-to-hand combat for the cultists, that is the end of the battle. So I've got to count up who's left and if I won or if the Genestealer Cultists took this one. So I'll be right back after I roll the shoots. Okay, so Genestealer Cultist shoot phase is done. The autocannon did not fire, so these three have survived the battle. They did the best they could. They're not going to get a battle scar, which is great, and they actually finished off a couple units, I believe, so that's awesome. The Neophyte Hybrids here, again, shot everything they had at the Hellhound. The Hellhound remains at 4 wounds. It's also going to survive this battle. No battle scars, but we're going to see because it's not combat effective. Still to come is that massive hand-to-hand combat on the Hellhound. I wanted to build up the suspense here because the Benefactus is just about to roll. I haven't done that yet. The Neophyte Hybrids here in the Acolyte Icon Ward shot at this Rogel Dorn. Nothing happened. But the big one is going to be right here. So I'm going to go over to my dice tray. We're going to roll for that. It is going to be the Benefactus with a hazardous attack as strong as it possibly can against the Rogel Dorn to try to see how many wounds it can take. If this Rogel Dorn goes down to below the combat ineffective amount, then I don't know if I've won because that hand-to-hand combat's still to come. So it's coming down literally to the last 2 moves here. It's going to be those Genestealers on top of the Hellhound and the Benefactus with this psychic attack. So I'm going to go over to my dice tray, roll for that because it's dramatic. And then we're going to take care of the hand-to-hand. I will do the squat first as well for the hand-to-hand, and then I'll move over to that Genestealer Hellhound one. A lot of units have survived, but I'm going to see if I can actually win this battle and get a point for the victory. So I'll be right back, going to my dice tray.
Okay, so here we go behind the camera. This is Genestealer shoot phase in turn 6. This is going to be the Psionic Cascade focused Witchfire with kind of the overdrive here on top. So I passed the hazardous, and now I'm going to be doing the actual attack for it. So this hits on 3 pluses. So here we go. 1 has hit, 1 has not. That's good news for my Rogel Dorn. This is a strength 12 attack versus a toughness 12, so I need a 4 to wound. It is a 5, so it has wounded. It is a -3 to AP, so this turns the Rogel Dorn save from 2+ to 5+. Here we go. He saved it. Got a 6. So if I had not saved that, it would have been d6 plus 1 damage, and that most likely would have taken my Rogel Dorn down to possibly combat ineffective levels. Battle's not over yet. I have to go to my Pure Strain Genestealers that are all over that Hellhound. If that battle goes through and the Hellhound is not destroyed, I win this one. So I'm going to roll for that too. I'll do the squat first, show you the outcome of that, and then we're going to go over and do the hand-to-hand combat with the Hellhound. But the Rogel Dorn is fine, so that's fantastic.
Alright, so my Rogel Dorn attacked that Psionic Cascade psychic attack from the Benefactus. The Benefactus did roll enough, but the Rogel Dorn was able to save it. I'm going to do a quick roll here just to see the outcome of our poor squat, who's the only civilian model that was from this side that is left. He's up against 3 Genestealers, so I don't think he has a chance, but we will try and see. Maybe the miraculous rolls will occur. And then after this one, it's going to be the super important Hellhound attack. So what I'm going to do is I will do those 2 turns. I'm going to come back over to the squat, show you what happened to him, and then also what happened to this Hellhound. So I'll be right back.
Okay, so this is the roll to wound for those Genestealers that are all over my Hellhound tank. They had 41 attacks in total, and now we're going to get to the wounds. So they hit on a 2+, which is absolutely crazy. There was maybe like 10 to 15% of ones that were rolled. So now with their strength 4, they have to penetrate toughness 10, so they need 6s to actually wound. So here we go. We're going to count the 6s. Okay, not too many. That's good. So 1, 2, 3. So out of all those attacks, 3 actually wounded, and it is a tank. It makes sense. So, you know, their claws are super sharp against light armor, and definitely against flesh, as we've seen when they took out the Cadian last battle, and then also in this one. So there's going to be 3 wounds that have gone through. They have a -2 AP, so this makes the save of my tank a 4+. So 2 wounds on my Hellhound, which isn't good because it's close to that combat ineffective, but it saved 1. It's a damage 1, so there's been 2 wounds given. So I'm going to do that in a sec, but the Hellhound has to fight back. Like, even though it's not a person, it still has the ability to roll over them and maybe move its turret around and bash them. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll let you know how many Genestealers actually died from that.
All right, that is the end of the battle. So let's see what happened. Do you think we won? Do you think we lost? Who was killed during that turn? I can give the first part away. Our squat gunsmith was killed. Kind of sucks, but you know, he tried to hold off. He killed several models. That was great. Over here, I have the Rogaldorn, which has enough wounds to be combat effective. That is 1 unit. I have my Primaris Psyker. That is 2 units. I have Sergeant Dakota's section. That is 3 units. So we just need 1 more. What do you think happened over here? The other Rogaldorn is still going. That is 4, so we have 1. And if you were wondering, my Hellhound, originally starting with 11 wounds, is down to 5. So 11, you know, divided by 2 is 5.5. So would we bump this up and say it's 6 wounds? Is it 5? I would still say that they're combat effective. The Genestealers were able to strip off 2 wounds. If it had been 1 wound, it would have been for sure a win with that one. But we have enough. So as you can see, the Arvis Lighter has landed. My Navigator's protective shield is down. He's wounded, but he's still able to keep that planetary shield up, and they're going to evacuate him to a safer spot, while the remaining Cadian that are in the vicinity are able to hold off the Genestealer Cultists from shooting down his Arvis Lighter, which is what they did to his Valkyrie at the beginning of the battle, and that's why the Cadian were dispatched to help him out. So to finish it up, we have the Rogaldorn 1, another Rogaldorn 2, Primaris Psyker 3, and Sergeant Dakota 4. So we have our 4 units that are combat effective at the end of the battle. The Cadian have won this one. It was super close. For a while, I didn't think they had a chance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be going to my cards. I'm going to update those. I'm just going to keep the mic going while I do that. From there, we'll know kind of how the experience is going to land, as well as battle scars and all that stuff. So thank you guys again for watching. It was fantastic. I'm going to be right back with my cards for the battle, show you how everybody did. But this is another win for the Cadian. Next battle, I think we're going to be taking on the Nurgle. That might be in another couple of weeks. We'll see what's going on with Christmas coming around the corner and shopping and all that good stuff. But I'm going to try to get another battle done over the holidays if I take some time. And it's probably going to be against the Nurgle and another Cityscape fight. So more to come. And yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Good stuff, Cadian. They did it again. The Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum are crazy. Like, outnumbered, outgunned, but they sometimes, you know, they've pulled it off twice now. So it's been pretty great. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll be right back with the cards. Okay, so here is the after battle, so the meat and potatoes of the Crusade Narrative. This is the first time I've actually issued battle honors, so it might take me a little bit to get it going here, but bear with me. So to start off, we're on our force card here. So there has been 1 requisition point added on. With the 1 requisition point, it's not really going to be worth it to remove any battle scars. So I'm going to be adding some battle scars onto units that already had them from the previous battle, and then also adding fresh new ones to some of the units that were lost for the first time during this battle. So I'm actually going to use the requisition points right away. So that 1 is going to go down to 0 again for my next fight. You know, might not be the best idea, but I want to add a 200 point supply limit, so that's going to give me 200 points to add more models. From this battle, I saw that maybe some transportation would be good, so I'd have some armored protection. The Sentinels I'm going to keep in, but I need something else that might be able to do some attacks, and maybe a new commander in there, since I lost my Castellan and I lost a whole bunch of orders because of that too. So I might bring in Ursula Creed. as a commander, but I'll see what's going on. That'll be maybe for next battle. I'm going to think about that and put it in. So that's it for the card. I'm going to be adding that in later with the 200 points. So my supply limit now has gone from 1600 to 1800. And we're going to move through the unit cards now. So Castellan Cage has received 2 experience, because you get experience whether you win or lose a battle. He did not survive this one, so he's played 2, he has survived 1, and he destroyed 1 enemy unit. Whether that's from this battle or last, I forget, because I didn't really mark which battles those were from, so this is going to be the total of each. The battle scar I have given him for losing this battle is crippling damage, so he's going to be -1 to move. Over to my Commissar. He survived this battle, so he has played 2, he has survived 2, he's destroyed 1 enemy unit, and he now has 2 experience. So both of those are not able to move up yet to the next level, which is called, I'm just going to find it here, Blooded. So the rank that they're currently at is just regular experience. So when you get the hollowed out white sword, that's between 6 to 15 points. There are going to be some units that made it there this time, and that's called the Blooded rank. So neither Castellan Cage nor Commissar Moon have made it there, but they've got a little bit of experience. So I'm going to move to my next units. So this is my command squad. They did survive this battle, so they've played 2, they survived 1, they destroyed 1 enemy unit. They're going to get a 2nd experience point, so not enough to move up to Blooded, but there they are, and they carry on that crippling damage battle scar that they've had, so it's also -1 to movement. Preacher Uriah was killed in this one, but he did gain an experience, so that's going to change from 1 to 2 experience for him. Battles played 2, battles survived 1, and then he has the battle scar crippling damage, which is the -1 to move, and neither have made it to the Blooded rank yet. Khazarkin Sharkgar's Own, they have played 2 battles, they've survived 1, so there's going to be no battle scars from this one, and I used requisition points last time to remove that battle scar. They destroyed 4 enemy units, and that, I believe, is actually going to give them some extra experience due to the fact that there is a rule. I'm just going to find it here. So the Crusade cards experience points. So you get 1 battle experience at the end of each battle. There's the Dealers of Death, which is 1 experience for every 3rd enemy unit it has destroyed. So they actually get another point for that in this one, because they destroyed 3, I believe, this battle. So they're up to 3 experience, not enough for Blooded yet, but getting closer. Over to my Khazarkin Tigers, they have got 2 experience points now. They've played 2 battles, survived 2 battles, and they have a total of 2 enemy units destroyed. I'm going to have to do a better job of tracking that for next time. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put a box on my cards. So I'll do that. I'll cut the camera and do that and then come back. But I'm just doing a box around my cards to make sure that I know what battle those enemy units were destroyed in. So next time I do this, I can give them the proper experience. I think I'm still tracking it well, but just in case. So the Khazarkin Sharkgar's Own and the Khazarkin Tigers both have gained experience, but they're not at that Blooded rank yet. Next card is 1 section, which is Sergeant Saronk. I need to issue them a new battle scar because they did not survive this battle. So they've played 2. They have not survived a battle yet, and they have not destroyed an enemy unit. They still get a 2nd experience point, though, so they're not quite Blooded. From here, I'm going to go back to my battle scars. So it would be kind of, I don't use the morale rule, but there's one that's called Battle Weary. So each time this unit takes a Battle Shock Leadership, Desperate Escape, or Out of Action test, subtract 1. I could give them that, but that's kind of cheap since I don't use the rule, so I'm not going to do that. I also don't have Objective Control yet, but maybe I will give them the Fatigued. So that's going to subtract 1 from the Objective Control characteristic of models in this unit, and this unit never receives a charge bonus. So I'm going to give them Fatigued as their 2nd battle scar, so that's on there now. And I'm going to go back to my other sheet here, so I'm tracking the experience. Next up is 2 section Sergeant Dakota. They have 2 experience. They have played 2 battles, survived 2 battles, and destroyed 2 total enemy units. I've put the square on that too to just be tracking. They have not made it to the blooded rank, but they both have 2 experience. Next up is 3 sections. So Sergeant Apone's section. They survived this battle. So 2 battles played. They survived this one. They destroyed 2 enemy units. And they're going to gain a 2nd experience. So not at the blooded rank yet. Sergeant Voof for 4 section. Also 2 experience. Not enough for blooded. But they have played 2 battles, survived this one, and then they destroyed 1 enemy unit. So my sections did a little bit better this time. Might be the cityscape fighting and just the distance, because the last one is very confined, so it was tough for them. Next up are my sentinels. These things have not been great. If I was going back to the start of my crusade, I don't think I would have put them in. They're not pulling their weight in regards to the points. I could have got other units like heavy weapon squads or something that would have been better, but I'm going to keep them in here. So they have played 2 battles. So this is Sentinel Alpha with the plasma cannon. Played 2 battles. It has not survived any battles, and it has not destroyed an enemy unit. So give this one the want. This is going to also be fatigued. I'm going to give that its 2nd battle scar. Sentinel Bravo has the 2 experience points. It has played 2 battles, survived the 1st battle, and it's destroyed 1 enemy unit. So a little bit better, but not much, because these things are, you know, pretty good, like for hand-to-hand and for weapons. But they don't have enough to move up to the blooded rank, but that's the end for my Sentinels. My Hellhound tanks, another fantastic job by them. So my Hellhound Cerberus with the heavy flamer has 2 experience. It's not like they killed a lot of units, but they were able to stick in, and they really fought, so it was good. They've played 2, so the Hellhound Cerberus with the heavy flamers played 2 battles. It's survived 1 battle. It was destroyed in the first one, and it's destroyed 1 enemy unit. So no battle scar for it this time. The Hellhound Imp, I'm actually going to give this one my marked for greatness. So you can do that with 1 unit. This thing did absolutely fantastic. It wasn't really able to hold the to like help the navigator get out because it was not combat effective as per my rules, but it did fantastic. It killed a lot of units. So what I'm going to do here, it killed 1. I'm going to give it that 1 extra experience. So that's going to be 5 for it. And then I'm going to give it the marked for greatness for this battle. So 1, 2, 3 extra experience. So it has 8 in total. It has moved to the blooded rank. So I'm going to be giving it a battle trait, which is going to help it fight in the future. I used requisition points last time to remove the battle scar, so this one has no battle scar, so it's going to be a fully fresh, shiny new tank when it comes into the next fight, with the battle honor that I'm going to bestow upon it as it has moved from the regular shield over to the blooded rank. So that's great, and I'll probably do that after this, just as I go through. But really well done to my Hellhound Imp. Great little tank, did awesome, so marked for greatness for this one. Next up is my Ogryn squad, Tunko Head. They have gained 1 experience for fighting the battle. They have played the 1 battle, they have survived 0 battles, and they have not destroyed enemy units. This was tough for them. They were the only real hand-to-hand combat squad, so they were taking on Genestealer Cultists, they were taking on the Genestealers themselves, they were taking on Abominants, Aberrants, so they fought pretty well, I would say, mattering, you know, considering how much weight they had on them. I have given them the crippling damage battle scar, so they have been reduced by 1 inch for their movement. I'm hoping these guys are going to step it up in the future, and we'll see what they do in the next fight against Nurgle. My Primaris Psyker played the battle, survived the battle, and it has gained 1 experience. Did very well too, protected that Khazarkan squad to make sure that they could get those kills in. So it destroyed 1 enemy unit I have here. No battle scars, so that's great, and it's going to be leading probably the Khazarkan again because I really like that ability to give them the invulnerable save for that 1 turn per battle. Also going to be super important against the Nurgle because they have some psychic powers, they have super high toughness, they have very strong weapons, especially against human models. So that's going to be good. The Ogryn squad and the Primaris Psyker were both brought in. This is their first fight, so the experience for them is nowhere near yet high enough to be blooded, but they at least got 1 point each. So here we go, my Rogaldorns. This was an incredible pick up for this battle. So I have the Rogaldorn battle tank Fury. I have it titled, and it has gained 1 experience. It also took out 3 enemy units, so that's dealers of death, so 2 experience for that in total now. Battles played 1, battles survived 1, enemies destroyed 3, and that was in this fight alone. So very, very good addition with my requisition points. I know it completely, it destroyed all my requisition points. I had nothing at the end there, but I think it was worth it because I needed that extra punch, which I didn't have in my first battle. The Rogaldorn battle tank double impact, I called it. It's also gained 1 experience for fighting the battle, and it killed 4 enemy units in its first fight. So that gives it enough for the dealer of death extra experience, so it also gets 2 experience. It survived the battle, so no battle scars, and they are going to be moving up quickly, hopefully, to get to the blooded rank next time. I was thinking about giving my double impact the Marked for Greatness, but that Hellhound, having survived 2 battles and still just scrapping through everything, surviving the Genestealer Pure Strain attack, all that stuff was fantastic, so I gave it to that tank. But these guys are going to get more kills hopefully in the future, and that experience will start to add up. So good job to the Rogaldorns. That is it for my unit cards. I'm now going to look, so I'll probably cut here, but I'm going to look at what I can give my Hellhound tank that is something. So I'm actually going to go back to the old 9th edition codex for the Astra Militarum, and I'm going to go find a Crusade relic and find something that's good for a tank. They don't have a codex out yet, so I am going to be giving them something from here, or maybe a some kind of battle honor. So I'll be right back. I'm just going to check and read and see what I'm going to give them. Alright, so I'm back. I'm just going to pull up my Hellhound Imp card here again and show you guys. So tons of experience from this battle, lots of kills. I gave it my Marked for Greatness. It moved up to the blooded rank, so I'm able to give it a battle honor / battle trait. I've gone back into the old Astra Militarum book. I'll keep using this for the remainder of the Crusade, even if the new codex comes out while I'm fighting. What I'm giving them is Street Fighters. So this improves the weapon skills characteristics of models in this unit by 1. And models in this unit do not suffer the penalty incurred to their hit rolls for firing at enemy units that are within engagement range of this unit. So this is going to make the weapon skill +1 of my tank. So I'm just going to put in weapon skill +1. I've also been creating little tiny cards to help me remember that stuff, so I'm hoping that I do that. I'll look at these cards before I start my next game. That's the thing about not playing all the time. You kind of forget who has experience and where and what you've been giving them. So they have received the Street Fighter's Battle Honor / Battle Trait. It's a weapon skill +1, which I think is going to help greatly in regards to firing that Melta Cannon, because it's got some great damage. It's going to do very well, hopefully, against the Nurgle, and this +1 is going to change my weapon skill of 4+ into 3+. So that's going to help greatly in regards to getting more Melta all over those Nurgle. So that is it. Thank you guys again for watching. Fantastic battle, really cool, very guerrilla fighting. Had to use my Cadian offensively, defensively. Next time I come back and we start the next battle, I'll show you what I used those 200 extra supply points for from my requisition. And I'm hoping that that's not going to come back and bite me in the butt, because I have no more requisition points again going into the second fight now. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, we'll be back in a bit. Finnigan 40K. Thanks. Bye-bye.